Hi everyone, I'm Romeo Joseph Rigolado, and I'm here to talk to you about payback period. What is payback period? Payback period is defined as the number of years required to recover the funds invested in a project from its operating cash flows. The equation we will be using is this. Payback equals number of years prior to full recovery plus unrecovered costs at the start of year over cash flow during full recovery year. Example, the firm requires a payback of 3 years or less. With Project S, we will start with negative 1,000 and then we will add a cash inflow for each year until the cumulative cash flow turns positive. So now that we have it all, we will now use the equation. 2 years as the years prior to full recovery, then we will add 8 to 100 as the unrecovered cost at the start of the year over 300 as the cash flow during full recovery year. So our payback period for Project S is 2.33. The firm requires a payback of 3 years or less. Therefore, Project S will be accepted. And please always remember that the shorter the payback, the better the project. The payback has three flows. First is all dollars received in different years are given the same rate. Second is cash flows beyond the payback year are given no consideration, regardless of how large they might be. And lastly, unlike the NPV or net present value, which tells us how much wealth a project adds, and the IRR, internal rate return, which tells how much a project yields over the cost of capital. The payback merely tells us when we recover investment, there is no necessary relationship between a given payback and investor wealth maximization. So we do not know what an acceptable payback is. The firm might use 2 years, 3 years, or any number as the minimum acceptable payback, but the choice is purely arbitrary. Now, let's talk about the discounted payback. Here, cash flows are discounted at the WACC, or company's weighted average cost of capital. Then those discounted cash flows are used to find the payback. We calculate the discounted payback for Project S, assuming it have a 10% cost of capital. Each inflow is divided by 1 plus r to the power of t, or 1.10 to the power of t, where t is the year in which the cash flow occurs and r is the project cost of capital, and those PVs are used to find the payback. So here is the example. Assuming that we have a 10% cost of capital at first, we need to divide each inflow by 1.10 to the power of t, where t is in the year in which the cash flow occurs, and those PVs are used to find the payback. 2 years as the years prior to full recovery, then we will add it to 215 as an unrecovered cost at the start of the year, over 225 as the cash flow during full recovery year, so our discounted payback period for Project S is 2.95. So now, we will be discussing about conclusions on capital budgeting methods. We have discussed 6 capital budgeting decision methods, comparing the methods to one another, and highlighting their relative strengths and weaknesses. In the process, we probably created the impression that sophisticated firms should use only one method in the decision process. However, virtually all capital budgeting decisions are analyzed by computer, so it is easy to calculate and list all the decision measures. Payback and discounted payback, NPV, IRR, modified IRR, and profitability index. In making the accept or reject decision, most large, sophisticated firms calculate and consider all of the measures because each one provides decision makers with a somewhat different piece of relevant information. Payback and discounted payback provide indication of both the risk and the liquidity of a project. A long payback means first that the investment dollars will be locked up for many years, hence the project is relatively illiquid. The second is that the project's cash flow must be forecasted far out in the future, hence the project is probably quite risky. NPV is most important because this gives direct measure of the dollar benefit of the project to shareholders. Therefore, we regard NPV as the best single measure of profitability. RRR also measures profitability, but here it is expressed as a percentage rate of return which many decision makers prefer. Further, RRR contains information concerning a project safety margin. Let's talk about decision criteria used in practice. Survey designed to find out which of the criteria managers actually use have been taken over the years. Survey prior to 1999 asked companies to indicate which method they gave the most weight. while the most recent survey in 1999 asked what method managers actually calculated and used. First is the NPV criterion was not used significantly before 1980, but by 1999 it was close to the top in usage. Moreover, informal discussion with the company suggests that if a survey were to be taken in 2008, NPV would be at the top of the list. And second is the RR method is widely used, but its recent growth is less dramatic than that of NPV. And third is payback was the most important criterion years ago, but its use as the primary criterion had fallen drastically by 1980. Companies still use payback because it is easy to calculate and it provides some information, but it's rarely used today as a primary criterion. And fourth is other methods, primarily the accounting rate of return and the profitability index, have been fading due to the increase of use of RRR, especially NPV. These trends are constantly with our evaluation of the various methods. NPV is the best single criterion, but all the methods provide useful information and all are easy to calculate. Thus, all are used along with judgment and common sense. That's all. Thank you so much.